Hey, we are going to look at SS3D today. So this is secret sauce. We can essentially upload images or concept art and go through the full game pipeline, stopping at each step to customize or to hand edit and input back in your own custom results before moving on to the next stage. If you want to skip all that, we've got a game ready that takes you straight from image to textured PBR ready asset. You can drop that right into Unreal. So let's get started. You can drag an image in here or click and upload one. We've got this little burning effigy, and then you can choose what you want to do to it. So we're going to edit the image. I'm going to use this little paint markup feature. That lets you kind of drag circles around here. Don't judge me using the mouse. So there we go. We're going to remove the effigy. Yeah. Okay. And this is the landing page. Once the first edit happens, we'll be taken into the main workspace. So this is your main workspace in here. And you have your input and the edit that's being propagated to here. So there is our edit. And set this one up so that it crops the foot in this example. That will let me demo this extend image. So if you load in an image here, again, if there's nothing loaded, you can grab an image from here and drag it. You can drag it from here, wherever. Once it's active, we're going to hit this extend image and generate. And that's kind of set up for cropped images. And it will just kind of extend them until they're framed. Okay, so here's the result. This is looking good. T-pose, great for rigging. It will remove props from hands automatically, make sure they're angled right, give you kind of a little bit more towards A-pose legs so they're spread apart enough for rigging. We're not going to do that for the burning effigy here. He's a little simple. Little magic guy. All right, so I think for this one, we could dive into the orthographics and look at that. That's going to generate a couple views for you. Side view and a back view. And when you're generating geometry, you can choose to use a single image or multi-image. Generally, single image is pretty good. Like I would say almost all the time go for that. But if you have some important detail, like a backpack or really important or unique side silhouette, maybe those are the best cases to be using the orthos. But here they are. If you click on the ortho, it loads in here as a package. You can look at the different views. Okay, so I'm fine with that. And we're going to send to geometry here. Click that. We can choose high poly or optimized. Let's start with our high poly. All that does is take us to this page where we can generate. Okay, but see a little 3 right here? This is just indicating that it's a multi-image. So I'm going to pop that open. You can see there's a multi-image here. We can delete items. You can drag items. Okay. And so once that's set, I'll give it deleted both. Now it just becomes a regular image. Click, add more angles. Okay, so that's all that set up. Let's generate. You don't even need it back view. Front and right should be fine. Awesome. This was super high poly. It's essentially, if you're familiar with high poly, it's kind of like that, but it's super. Yeah. Anyways, let's let that process. And it will take a while. And the cool thing is, while this is processing, you can go ahead and do other stuff. So you could create a new asset if you wanted. You could go back to the images tab and start creating other things. And typically that's kind of a good way to work since it does take a little while for certain generations. That lets you process multiple assets at once. We can check on our progress over here. And why don't we do that? Why not? I'll create a new asset while we're waiting. Okay, what should we do? Choices are tough, so I've always wanted to peel eggs really easily. Doesn't that bother you? You gotta like crack them really slowly and peel all the shells. So anyways, came up with this design. I think it could run away, just not good. This one, pretty sweet. It's looking a lot better. More options here. That looks good. That looks like it could really crack an egg. Yeah, so we're gonna go with that one. Wait, I do think that would look nice in the kitchen as well. I don't know that we have to do anything to this. It's kind of perfect. So we can go into super hypol, generate them, and hop right back to the asset library. Oops, asset library. Check on our little guy here. So he's done. Let's see. All right. Okay. So this is our little simple effigy guy, and we've got a couple options here. So I'm going to drag the output into here. That's making it an active thing that we're working on. So now we're working on the high poly, and we could segment the mesh or run sculpt levels. I'll start with segment the mesh and talk about both in the meantime. So sculpt levels is currently the Blender only feature. We'd like to add this as a ZBrush one as well, but if you're familiar with ZBrush, you work in subdivision levels. This is the same thing, but for Blender. So it's going to generate a low poly version of all the pieces that you have and get the high poly detail linked to that, so you can jump up and down subdiv levels, make your sculpting experience nicer. Sculpt levels. Segment mesh. This gets into kind of a big challenge with generative 3D right now. It's getting better all the time, so we're always pushing updates. But currently, segmentation is quite challenging, and this is really the inherent problem that sculpting, you want to have separate pieces, so you can have control over each piece, sculpt on them separately. And with generative AI, you're typically getting these meshes that are all fused together. So we have this new challenge of splitting them apart. We've got a couple cool features that will make this easier for you. But we're going to put that on pause since this is processing, and we'll check out another new asset. That's almost done. Which is perfect time then to show off a couple other things that we can do here in the texture category. Alright, so here is our high poly result. Looking pretty sharp. We got some areas that we wouldn't really quite want a certain way, like maybe the emboss. We wouldn't want that to be physical. So stuff like that you can really address one of two ways. You can edit your images once you learn kind of how these things work, and then potentially add them afterwards. Or we can modify them as well, and we'll look at that process. So I'm going to fire this off for segmentation, dragging it down. I'm going to segment it, and while we wait, hop over to the other asset. I think that's a good habit. Right, so our segmentation is completed. We'll take a look at what that looks like and how you can work with it. Alright, so here's what I did for the segmentation. It's identified all the different parts, which we can see as colors, and those are separate meshes. So from this point, we could click ascend to Blender button. Once you hook that up, this will pop open. A little Blender scene will pop open, and your model loads right up in the program. Right, so we've got this little matchstick dude in Blender, and if you're anything like me, I'm going to use ZBrush and get some sculpting in. So let's hop over there, hit the import button, and you want to pull in your FBX. Default settings are fine, and it's going to come in with polypaint or vertex color on all the separate pieces. They're all ready to be sculpted on. If you don't like the color, shift click, disable them on all these. So you can Dynamesh, Zero Mesh, where your flow is. Get the model looking good to bring back into SS3D. So export and FBX from ZBrush. hit your little import button on here, pulling in the FBX. Make sure to click all on the ZBrush export. Otherwise, if you use the default settings, it'll only export one subject. So we'll pull this in and we'll look at the optimize settings. Optimize low, medium, and high are an AI-based retopo optimization. So they're going to be better for hard surface, real gamey looking models. You'll get some tries in there. Generally pretty nice results. If you have really high silhouette breakers, you're definitely going to want to optimize high so that there's enough poly count in there to build for it. If you've got a little bit softer, rounder characters, something a little more obscure in the shapes, the optimize custom would be a better choice for that. So we've got our mesh here. That's the FBX that's been uploaded. Because it's in multiple parts, we have this really cool retopo combine groups feature. So this is nice because when you're segmenting, you're splitting everything into tons of parts. All you really want is more parts so you can sculpt individually on different elements easily, right? But with retopo, we're really thinking about the animation mesh here, and we want to do a lot of combining. Now, right now, none of the other tools out there are letting you manage that. So if you segment into a bunch of pieces, you're just going to get all those pieces back in your retopo. For this, we have the ability to select a bunch of stuff that you would want combined into one final shell. And when you are good with your choices, you just drag them up here. They'll get a color to indicate their group. You can have as many groups as you want. Now those will all retopo as one part. This guy is super simple. We could maybe keep the flames separate. We'll try that. Throw his head in the same group. We'll call this good. So this would be one mesh, and then the flames is another one. I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna go to optimize high and hit generate. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna drag in the mesh and we can look at the optimized custom settings as well. So for this, you're gonna get more of a quad-based output. Not quite as recommended for hard surface, although there's a hard surface mode on here that will improve those results. With custom retopology, you have a little bit more control over the poly count, and you can add symmetry, like a tight T-pose model, symmetrize it. So we'll run both and check them both out. To do so, I think we'd probably want to redo our little combined groups here. So we'll remesh those into one, and we can try something different. I guess we'll keep these separate for this one. Okay. I'm going to toggle on hard surface because kind of. And we'll try that out. All right, while these two assets are cooking, we can get back to our previous project here, the egg peeler. All right, can make turns, orthos for that, and we can take a look at what we can do in the texture category for some helpers here. So these are a couple features that let you extract useful information for once you get to actual texturing of your asset. So the tiling texture, better for environment stuff usually, but sometimes you might want detail maps to be efficient with repeated textures. So we can have more of a shader-based detail here. To do that, try to find as close as you can to tiling section of your image, and then just hit generate, and it should output a tiling image for you. So I've gone ahead and done that, and we can load up the example of the output in here, Photoshop. If you do have Photoshop, there's a pretty nice feature in here. If you go to View, Pattern Preview, you can instantly check your tile. So you can see here, it's done a pretty good job. We've got a fully tiling image. It can take a try or two. It won't always give you a perfect tile, but it works pretty well most of the time. Okay, so here's another tile. This one, it looks like it might be perfectly tiling as well, but there's a couple artifacts in here that aren't that great. Okay, now back to the image. Other stuff we can do. You may have some sort of patterns that you'd like to turn into black and white alphas from your image or from like a portion of your image. maybe we wanted to emboss that and handle that in the ZBrush side. So for that, you can use this alpha mask feature. Just highlight a section of your image and it will make a black and white alpha mask to use as a brush. There we go. So there's the output for that. And finally, there's layout elements. So this is most handy if you have kind of a hero section of the asset, and maybe you want to regenerate that in a higher resolution as its own piece. Or if you generated a model, you segmented it, all your pieces were looking cool, and like the belt or some little part of it didn't work out too great, you could separate that into its own generation and make a high quality version of that. So you can also use it to extract, you could use them as little alpha textures, just elements from an image, but it's basically laying out any element from an image in a very kind of orthographic looking way. So here's an example of that. We can try others here. One. This part. And here's an example. So this could be used for texturing as well. It is just kind of a way to flatten and extract elements from an image. So let's hop back to our main asset. See how this one's going. We got our results. All right. So this is the AI-based result. I think for that one, we merged the head, so that's reflected there. We kept the fire separate. Everything else merged. Okay, it's ended. And then here's the other one. Looks like 5,000 was way too high for such a simple character, but it gives you a flavor of the kind of topo results that you get out of them. So you get more even spans on this one, and you get something more optimized with tries on the other one. Okay, so that covers the basics. There are UV options as well, fully automated. If you don't want to mark all your seams and sort that out, this is an AI solution to that. You just hit generate. Of course, when you're in production, you most likely care about a little more details than that. So we're still building this out, but at the moment, you would have control over your border and island padding. You could give it your input texture size, padding values that you care about, and then make edits to the UVs for that. More to come there. So this is the final category, game ready. And this involves taking an image, and it would go straight from image to finalized 3D output. This would be for realistic styles and PBR shading. So you can choose a texture size between 2.4 and 8K, up to 1 million polygons. You just hit generate with the image and you get the file. So if we downloaded that as a GLB, for example, you could pop open Unreal Engine and import it. All right, so we got the asset into Unreal. This feature is really great for prototyping, blocking up environments, and can create some really fantastic looking props as long as they're more realistic in style. They will do well. Fortunately, I'm not a very good animator, so this is the best we can do. Vroom, vroom. Lots of new features coming, and we're excited to share them with you as they come along. Thanks.